A few weeks ago, I posted a video called The 5 Brutal Signs an Organization Has Finished With You. The response surprised, not because people disagreed, but because what they meant. It seemed to strike a wrong nerve. Now, if you haven't watched that video, you may want to do that first because this is really a continuation of that discussion. We are taught that staying is a virtue, perseverance, loyalty, and they are right. Many of life's greatest success came from refusing to give up. One senior professional wrote to me saying, shouldn't the organization have a responsibility to rehabilitate the employee rather than leave him or her in a limbo? Others simply said, it's not that I don't understand what's happening, I just can't leave. And you know what? You're absolutely right. I gave you 5 signs that it might be time to leave. You gave me 100 reasons why you couldn't. The truth is that both can exist. So stay if you must. But first understand the cost of staying. Because every extra year you stay comes at the expense of the one commodity you can never recover: your time. Today we will examine 5 reasons why an organization is simply not designed to save a career that has already begun to drift. These ideas form a big part of part 2 of my book, The Relevance Trap. So 5 things. We'll talk about why reputations outlive their managers, why the people who value can sometimes keep you trapped, why promotions are investments rather than rewards, why the longer you stay, the harder it becomes to be seen differently, and finally, why taking ownership and showing leadership can itself become a trap. Have you ever wondered why your boss changed but the organization's opinion about you didn't? You hope a change in manager means a fresh evaluation, a clean slate, a chance to start over. But very often it doesn't happen. And the reason is what I call opinion by proxy. One of the greatest misconceptions professionals have is believing that a change in manager means a fresh evaluation. In reality, managers rarely inherit a blank page. They inherit opinions. This is especially true when there is a senior leader. Let's call him the super boss, and you know exactly the kind of person I'm talking about. Every organization has one. Once that super boss forms an opinion and everyone either knows or senses, it quietly becomes the default narrative. Very few managers will say, hang on, I haven't worked with this person yet, let me make up my own mind. Going against an established narrative carries its own risk. Senior leaders don't just make decisions, they shape narrative. Over time, the assessment of you quietly becomes the organization assessment of you. When a new manager arrives, he doesn't simply inherit your responsibility, he inherits your reputation. And without even intending to, he may begin evaluating you through someone else's conclusions. Managers change, narratives often don't. That is why waiting for a leadership change can sometimes become another form of career drift. You might be thinking, but my current boss loves, they rely on me every single day. That brings us to the second reason. Reason number 2 is a structural conflict of interest. I call the captive sponsor. You assume that because your manager depends on you, you will eventually reward you with upward movement. But one of the coldest realities in mature organizations is that the person who depends on you most today is often the same person least able to release you into tomorrow. Your manager might value you deeply, he might even speak highly of you. But if moving you upward creates an operational vacuum they now have to fill, they have a strong incentive to keep you exactly where you are, or worse, move you into the role that solves their biggest problems, not necessarily the one that's best for your career. They may even call it promotion. The system is simply not designed to save you when your rescuer depends on your own containment. At this point, you probably believe that because you have worked hard and delivered, the organization owes you a bigger future. That brings us to number 3. Mature organizations don't allocate the future as a moral reward. They allocate it as an investment. Let's take a pause to understand what promotion really means to the organization. Every promotion creates uncertainty. Someone has to stand up and say, I am willing to bet on this person. Someone has to take a chance on you. And if it doesn't work out, someone has to own that decision. The willingness to absorb risk is what I call developmental tolerance. And it is incredibly scarce. Now think about it. If a manager has to overcome opinion by proxy, the captive sponsor problem, will he also be willing to absorb the risk of pushing you into a bigger role? Or is it simply safer to hire someone from outside? Because then everyone shares the risk. You might think you simply need to show them you are capable of more. But you are fighting reason number 4. At first, being known feels like an advantage. People trust your judgment. Your name becomes associated with dependable work. But once you become deeply known in one form, the organization stops asking what else might be possible. It simply keeps reusing the version of you that already works. You are not misunderstood. You are understood too completely and also too narrowly. It will not naturally offer you a different path because in its mind, case is already closed. Which brings us to the final reason, and this is the one that uses your own sense of duty against you. When the system breaks, the organization naturally turns to the most dependable people. It pushes them into the work closest to the ground to contain the damage. But it doesn't call it containment. It calls it leadership. You are told you are stepping up. You are told you are showing ownership. Because the burden is framed as a virtue, you begin to experience your own exploitation as existence of your worth. The organization has really no incentive to rescue you from the drift because you are busy rescuing the organization from its own bad design. And the hard truth is this: the work that keeps you busy is often the same work that keeps you fixed. If you choose to stay, then stay. As I said, it's a perfectly valid decision. But do not stay expecting the system to suddenly wake up and rehabilitate you. The system is operating exactly as it was designed. If you want to escape the trap, the decision has to come from you. Quitting is just one of many strategies. In fact, I've dedicated the entire third part of my book to exactly this. So stay tuned as we move from the drift through the shift and finally to the reconstruction. I am Venkatachalam Vishwanathan, author of The Relevance Trap. If you have experienced any of these 5 realities in your own career, let me know in the comments which one felt close to heart. Subscribe to the channel and I will see you in the next video.